I'm Diego Cordovez. Welcome to The Scoop, brought to you by Full Tilt Poker. My friend Adam Schoenfeld is on overseas assignment, and today we have a very special guest, a real legend in poker, Huckleberry Seed, world champion in 1996, four-time bracelet winner, but more than that, a guy who's played in the biggest cash games in the world and who's been around for 2 decades, playing on the internet, live, in tournaments, cash games, and also a legendary prop bet participant. So we're going to have a lot of good stuff to talk to Huck about today. So we're shooting at the Heads Up Championship, which you won last year, and you've got an amazing record coming into this year, 18-4. So is there something about Heads Up that either brings out the best, or that is your specialty, or just the luck of the draw that you've had such success at it?
I think there's a special skill to heads up and staying like in tune with your opponent. You get to really focus on one person. In six-handed game, nine-handed game, there's a lot going on and a lot of situations you're just out. But you're in every hand. You're involved in almost every pot. In some kind of way. So there's just a flow to it.
Are you especially strong at being able to get into somebody's head and know what they're doing or what they're thinking when they're playing against you?
Yeah, I think that's a special skill that's a skill that really goes a long way in any kind of poker, really. But yeah, I try to focus on that a lot.
Did you hone that just over experience, or is there anything in particular that people can do to try to develop that skill or that ability?
Yeah, I think it's mainly experience. You just have to really, really watch people and study your opponent, stay in their head.
A lot of these younger guys who are coming along now have become no-limit heads-up specialists, which didn't even exist anymore. When we started playing, it was almost impossible to find a heads-up game. So Does that intrigue you, or do you like to play heads-up on the internet, or is that like a different?
Oh, definitely.
Different
It's
thing?
amazing how when Isildur played Dur,
Yeah.
their first big matches, I was like kind of riveted actually the day that the World Series of Poker final table was going on and Phil was at the table and I wanted to watch it. I was online, but I almost couldn't even watch that. I was more into watching Dur and Isildur battle their
Really?
six tables, and I talked to a lot of people who got really like fired up to play heads up, no limit after those matches. There were some crazy long. Did you see any of that?
No, I didn't really
Yeah,
I
they were
read as
playing
much
like
as I
six
could about
tables.
it.
Oh,
But
you read about it? You didn't watch.
I didn't
You
watch
know what
the
happened.
hands. Yeah,
Though, yeah.
absolutely.
So yeah, actually, after watching that, I just, you know, I played a lot more heads up. Just playing somebody six or four tables heads
you
up,
did?
just because it just motivated me to do that. But it's fun to play. It's whoever thought you could play like four, six,
Of course.
thousands of hands, and now
Right.
it's like the most crazy action you could want.
Is it a lot different for you in the sense that, like you say, when you're at the table with someone, you're getting inside their head, you know what they're doing on the internet, especially multi-tabling, it becomes a lot more mathematical in the sense that you pick up on patterns and so forth. But
No, I think
for
it's the
you,
same thing, but
is
it's
it?
just going hyper speed. I mean, here you have to. It's a different kind of skill because here, you see the person and you just things are changing also, but you just have. It's more of a guess here, more of a.
So do you have the temptation to jump in with these guys and play online, big stakes, heads up, no limit, or no
No, I
limit
mean
in
it's such a
general?
different. It's such a different game, and it goes so quick. I've been advancing my online game, but I'm not to the top level yet. I feel I'm not going to just jump in there with the top until I've worked my way up a little. But
I mean, I mean, some people would be surprised because obviously you've accomplished an enormous amount in poker, and even recently you won the heads up last year, and you've been competitive in live games and tournaments, not just tournaments like some people. But what are the things you feel like even someone like you needs to work on to kind of ascend up the ranks of the online game?
well, I think all of the kind of old school players like me that we need to come back and study again, and because it's gotten so much more mathematical and analytical. And I've done some of that. I get with those. But for a while, I started playing sit and goes online, and I would look at those independent chip models and do little things about the short stacks, and I improve my short stack play a lot, which just comes natural to all these young players that just instantly
They know what the equities are in those situations and so
yeah,
forth.
they have a good feel for that, or they just know so much, just raw.
You feel like, I mean, I think the debate kind of is tempered, but for a while there was a bigger debate in terms of online players and live game players, but you feel the online players are way ahead in terms of particularly those shorthanded type situations, or is it just that the better players have just gravitated there because there's more money to be made?
I don't know if there's more money to be made online. I mean, they do play pretty big, but yeah, obviously, online is more mathematical, so the more mathematical players are going to gravitate to that, and then they're going to be better at the math of the game.
But you went to Caltech, you were studying electrical engineering. I mean,
yeah,
you are a mathematically, or even with all your other skills, you have a strong base in
I do have a strong base, but I
analytics.
never really focused on them or studied the math of poker. But I had just kind of have it internally. I always just had a feel from my math background, or my, you know. But
Yeah, these guys have taken it to another level where there's a lot more self-assessment also in terms of analyzing all the hands that have been played, what has worked, what hasn't worked, what hands have produced better equities and so forth. Much more than in our day where people just kind of said, well, I took a bad beat and that was that.
yeah, now the big difference to me online is that you can save the hand histories,
Yeah.
50,000 hands, and you can get programs to analyze and think about different patterns and different things. So
And you do
that's
some
how
of
you
that.
can. I haven't really done much of that. No, I haven't done any of that, but I may go at that at some point. But that's how you can really do your homework. Before I would just remember all the hands when I was young.
Right.
I think memory is big for poker. But
Yeah, and before, you'd play the same people and you'd really have a database on each one. You
yeah,
didn't have to write it down.
you didn't have to. You just
Now
had it in
you
your
run
memory.
into thousands of players. It's like impossible to keep track of every single.
So many
one.
players now. Yeah, it's like go to a tournament. There's 1,500 people in it, and
Yeah, and you've got to have a strategy for people you've never seen before, just based on
yeah.
on.
Well, I was always good at picking up on people quickly. Just watch them for half an hour in the game, or just watch them play one hand, and I can get a knack for what they're.
Different thing is, at the table, your demeanor has always been very low key, not drawing attention to yourself, focusing on the other players and so forth. We've seen a lot of players who maybe they win one tournament or they just have like a gimmick that gets them on TV a lot. I mean, in terms of all your accomplishments, you're not as renowned as people who've barely impacted the poker world. Is that something that matters to you a lot or at all?
I'm not sure. That was a long, convoluted question. I know.
Yes, that's my trademark, the long convoluted question.
You kind of
Just
confused me with that one.
well, whether
Say
the
that
fact
again.
that you don't work to draw attention to yourself or to draw the cameras to you. There are definitely players who get a lot of TV time or get a lot of features or attention about them, not so much for their poker, but just because they've got some personality trait or maybe they've won one very visible tournament. So does that matter to you at all?
Well, I respect the people, like Phil Hellmuth, who enjoy being on camera, and they love it, So that's what, and they brought, I thank all the people that are very entertaining or more entertaining than me on TV. That just love the camera. Some people they just love the camera.
Yeah.
Like I really don't
Are
love the
you're
camera like that. I don't have
indifferent to
that passion about being on camera like some people do. But I do want to give back to the game, and I in the beginning before poker was on TV, I was kind of against it, and I didn't really want poker to be on TV. But now that it's done so much for the game, showing the whole world, this is a great game. Look at this.
a
Look
game
what
of
we're
skill
doing.
and so forth?
So uh,
Were you?
I now do try to work on my interviews or be a little more entertaining or come with an interesting story or I actually am a lot more animated on the camera than I used to be. So
Yeah, and making an effort at it to some
yeah,
extent. Were you against?
and enjoying it, but not
Yeah,
to the level of some people.
right. Well, to some people it's just natural, and other people really are forcing it, thinking, well, there's going to be some reward for it. And
Yeah.
maybe that's not as important.
Yeah, I don't think
to
that.
you.
I don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't
When,
think that's good to do.
when you said you were against poker on TV, or concerned about poker on TV initially, was that more kind of like what Eric Seidel has talked about, which is people seeing how you play or getting better
No,
by
nothing
watching?
to do with that really. Just that I got into poker originally because there wasn't a lot of politics involved, and it was just simple and straightforward, and kind of like a nice, honest little world where you come in, if you play good,
Right.
you win. The better you play, the better you do.
Yeah.
But now, it's like just like anything else. It's big
Right.
money and TV, and this tournament, for instance, I feel very lucky that I like the tournament. I've done well in it, but I was lucky to be invited and keep getting invited back, and you know, that's what if poker had been like this when I had first gotten into it, I don't think I would have
Right.
gotten into it.
It's funny. It's funny you say that because I've always felt that way and told people that for me, like working in business, the thing that appeals to me about poker is there's no politics. There's
Yeah.
nobody you have to impress.
When we first
There's
got
luck.
into it, that's how it
Yeah.
was.
There's a luck element, but on the other hand, someone's going to end up with the money, someone's not. And obviously, yeah, it's changed to where now there's a political element, and there are people that make a lot of money without even winning. But
Yeah.
so it's changed. It's grown the game, which is great for everybody, but it's not the pure, the pure game that it was.
Yeah. But in somebody's, in a poker room in a cash game somewhere, it's still, the way it was. So.
Thanks for joining us on The Scoop, brought to you by Full Tilt Poker. We had a great time with Huckleberry Seed, and a lot more to talk about. So join us next week for part 2. And in the meantime, write to us at thescoop@cardplayer.com.